In this video, we're talking sleeping mats. I'm going to take you through all of the mats that I've owned over the last 10 years or so. I'm going to tell you what I like about them, what I don't like about them, and we'll talk about what went wrong with this one and how you can prevent this happening to your own mat. Let's get into it. So welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Chase. This is all about preparing your mind, your body and gear for the mountains. All of this gear I purchased with my own money. None of this is sponsored, so everything I'm sharing with you here is my own opinion. Let's get into the first one. So this is the Cedar Summit Comfort Plus. I've had this since about 2015 and I bought it mainly for hiking, trekking, some expeditions. I've taken this a number of times to Nepal. I think the highest that I slept on this in an open bivvy was about 6,200 meters. So no tent, no nothing, just this in a sleeping bag. And it kept me warm. This is an incredibly warm mattress. Couple of reasons why. Firstly, it has synthetic insulation throughout and it has a metallic layer built in to the structure, which reflects your own body heat. One of the main things about staying warm in the mountains is just preventing that radiating heat from escaping. So that material I think is called X-Kin Platinum. I'd love to cut this mat open and show you, but I'm not going to do it with this mat. The scissors are going to wait till later. This is probably the most comfortable mat I own, and I think it comes down to these air sprung cells. So you can see this honeycomb kind of design here, and that kind of works like an inner spring mattress. As you roll over through different positions, it kind of compensates and allows for a very comfortable night's sleep. It is a little noisy. The R value, according to Cedar Summit, is 4.0, but you'll see it noted on other websites as high as 5.9. The outside here is, I think, 40 denier, so you can kind of throw it around. You don't have to be so precious about keeping it away from rocks and sharp objects. I have had one little puncture in it, but it comes with a repair kit. It's super easy to fix. It's not going to be a problem. One of the features that stood out and one of the main reasons I got this mat is because of its dual layer construction, meaning that it has two chambers, one on the top here and one on the bottom. And that means if you were to get a puncture in the middle of the night, you've still got one of those chambers inflating you, which means you can get a good night's sleep and not worry about the repair until the morning. It's super quick to inflate, about 5 or 6 breaths on each end, and it's good to go, and it's very easy and quick to deflate. You just open the valves, lay it out. Within about 30 seconds it's pancake flat and ready to roll up. Nothing worse than a mat that takes forever to roll up. This one's nice and quick. There, good to go. So that is the Cedar Summit Comfort Plus. Let's get into the next mat. So the next mat is from Xped. This is the Lite 3.8. I bought this in 2012 when I was doing mainly rock climbing. So this was used for camping trips, hanging around the crag. Wanted to be comfortable, wasn't too concerned about the weight. And at the time, this was kind of the cream of the crop in terms of inflatable, insulated mattresses. And I continued to use it for about 5 years and lots of other different trips. Ran into a little issue though. In 2019, I was using this mattress on Mont Blanc. I was having a very peaceful sleep when I heard this loud crackling sound and my chest started to rise and inflate off the ground. I had no idea what was going on. I was freaking out. It was completely dark. Turned my head torch on and found that my mattress was delaminating. The top layer and the bottom layer were separating from the air itself, and it was just blowing up underneath me. I then spent the next 4 or 5 nights pretty uncomfortable with it kind of semi-inflated, but sleeping with this gigantic egg underneath my back was not something I want to do again. Having said that, this problem was entirely my fault. I think the reason why this delaminated is because I was always breathing directly into the mattress. At the time, this mattress didn't come with an inflatable bag. It was something I had to purchase separately, but it was a really poor design. It was only about this big and I had to like hand pump it. It would literally take me 30 minutes to inflate. So I just completely got over that and I started blowing into it directly. Now the moisture from my breath is probably what's got into the adhesive between the foam core and the TPU, and that's just disintegrated it over time to the point where it just got to one night and it just exploded. But to be fair, I've done the same thing with the Cedar Summit and that hasn't had any problems in 6-7 years. So when this mattress was working, it was a really comfortable mattress. I don't know why, but I chose to take this one to Mont Blanc instead of the Cedar Summit. Turns out that was a bad choice, but it is warm enough to use in those alpine environments. It's got an R value of 3.1, but it is kind of heavy. This one weighs in at 1,050 grams, and it's also pretty bulky even when it's packed down. It does usually come with a packing sleeve. I lent this to a friend a few years ago and she returned it without the sleeve. Don't lend gear to friends. In terms of the construction, it's a 75 denier on the top and another 75 denier layer on the bottom. And the insulation they use within is an open cell PU foam in this honeycomb shape. And we're gonna cut it open and have a closer look.
Oh, this is so sad.
So this is that honeycomb closed cell PU foam. And this is the supposedly hydrolysis resistant laminate which sticks the bottom layer of the mattress to the foam. Obviously not that hydrolysis resistant. So would I buy this mat again? Well, for obvious reasons, probably not. Like I said, I bought this in 2012. Mattresses have come a long way since then. I think there's probably better things on the market. All right, let's get into my next mattress, something very basic and something you've probably seen before. So this is the Camp Essentials Lite mat. This is both the cheapest and the lightest out of all the mats that I currently have. This is the one that I used on the GR11 and I chose that because it was a summer trip. It was a long distance through hike, so I wanted something very light and I didn't need anything that was going to be super warm or comfortable. I was choosing campsites that were fairly well insulated with undergrowth and leaves and whatnot, so that was both comfortable and is insulating me from the ground a little bit. So I didn't really need a heavy insulated mat for that trip. Just a super basic inflation deflation valve there. In terms of the durability, I did have one little issue on the GR11. I had a puncture, but I just put some gear aid over it and I fixed that up straight away, no problems at all. There was a couple of nights where that was just a little bit too thin. I would completely roll off it. So in future, I'll probably look for something that's a little bit wider. In a previous video, someone asked about the R value of this. I think it would be 0.5 or basically 0. There's no insulation in it whatsoever. It's just a bag of air. But for something so thin and so minimal, I found it really comfortable, but a lot of that came down to campsite selection. And I guess the main point there is the more lightweight you go, the more you're going to have to be specific about your campsite selection. You want to find something that's got some undergrowth or some, foliage leaves that's going to protect you, going to give you a little bit of extra comfort. If you choose your campsite well, you can slim down your kit quite a lot and still be pretty comfortable. One thing I don't like about this mat is that it does take a little bit of messing around to deflate. If you've got a better solution to this, let me know. So this whole time I could have been hiking. Packs down nice and small. So that brings us to the final step of this sleeping mat evolution. The next mat I'm going to show you is the one that I've most recently bought. I've only used it once and it's probably going to be the mat that I'm going to use on my through hike this summer. So let's take a look at that one. So this is the latest addition to my sleep system. This is the Thermolite Zrest. This is the Thermolite Zrest. I thought long and hard about getting one of these. It's obviously not an inflatable mat, it's just a piece of foam. And I guess the main reason here is that I wanted to cut down on weight. I also wanted something that I could just throw on the ground outside of my tent, something really thin, kind of like a yoga mat, where I could lay down and have a stretch in the afternoon. My buddy Kareem had one of these on the GR11 and I was kind of jealous because he'd just throw it out on the grass and do his stretching in the morning. So as it stands at the moment, it's 410 grams, which you might notice is actually heavier than the last mat that I got. So in terms of the structure, it's pretty basic, polyethylene, so closed cell foam. This bubble-like design is what makes it really comfortable, and in terms of the thermal properties and the warmth, it has an R value of 1.7, so I'm automatically going to be warmer on this year's through hike than I was last year with the camp mat 0.0 R value over there. There's many reasons why I haven't got a mat like this in the past, just because it's cumbersome. You know, I hate having big bulky things hanging off my pack. I like my pack to be pretty slim. But for the trip that I have planned along this summer, about 3 weeks, mostly above the tree line, I think it's going to be fine. And in any case, I'm not going to have it strapped to the top or the side of my pack. I'm going to have it up against my back. So we're going to have a look at how that looks. So most people, when they have this style of mattress, they'll have it on the side here. That's on this pack where I have my tripod. So my other option is to have it on the top. This is going to be brushing up against trees, and I'm just not a fan of that. It's also super annoying to take it off and on every time that I want to get something from my backpack. So for me, that's just not ideal. I want things to be pretty efficient. 14 sections here. I'm going to cut a bunch of them off. That's going to keep my torso warm. Don't worry about my legs, they'll be fine. And then it's going to slip on the back side of my backpack here for a back support. So doing it at full size like this, obviously way too thick. We're going to get the scissors out again. This really can only happen once, so I hope I make the right decision here. 2, 4, 6, 8. So that'll be the length that I'll have.
I think that's more than long enough, right? I think that'll be fine.
Oh man. We'll make our incision here. 2, 4, 6, 8. Don't mess this up. Let's do it. Oh, that was surprisingly easy to cut through. Maybe I've just ruined a perfectly good sleeping pad. Let's find out. Now, I've got the same setup here that I had last year. Wow, really starting to feel like an ultralight nerd. What has become of me? Okay, I think I'm pretty happy with that. Obviously, I've got to try it on and see how it feels. But it looks thin, it's a 3/4 mattress, and it's gonna be pretty lightweight. When I get home, I'll weigh it and I'll put it on the screen now. Feels comfy. Gotta do a little bit of pack adjusting, but feels pretty good. What do you reckon? Now here's the leftover section that I can use for a seat. Might even use it now. So that's one of a whole bunch of changes that I'm making to my gear for my next through hike. I'm going to be releasing some information on that soon. The first people to find out are going to be those who are on my Patreon though. If you didn't know that I have a page, well, I do. It's pretty new. I'll be sharing a video there with some of the new gear that I have already and the gear that I'm still yet to buy, as well as talking about the through hike that I'm doing and why I chose to do it and all the details. That's about all for this one, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you on the summit.